Thank you. That's a lot of noise for a bookstore. Thank you. I just want to start by saying I'm so happy to be here to support Ivana. Just to give you a brief history of our relationship, we have been working together for almost 20 years. I've worked with Ivana on everything I've ever done in terms of film and TV acting. And she's also my witch mother. Tell me everything I know. Feel free to interrupt. But yeah, before we dive into the book, I just wanted to say how important Ivana has been to me in my life, with my career, and I'm just I'm so incredibly grateful for all the hours that we've spent together and worked together. This book has changed my life, truly. This book was also translated in over 23 languages, right? Ivana has schools all over the world. I feel honored to be able to celebrate the book with her. There's so many actors and people that she's taught that have gone on to win Academy Awards and all the awards. It was a dream for me to work with her. And I still kind of can't believe that I get to like sit here and be your friend too. About the book, Ivana has created a 12-step Chubbuck technique that is a practical technique for breaking down scripts that actors, and this is just for people who aren't aware, I'm sure a lot of you have read the book and know the book, but for you who aren't aware, for actors and directors and writers, it's a technique that is used to break down scripts. Ivana has been considered the American Stanislavski, this century's Stanislavski. In my opinion, I don't think there's any other acting coach that's doing anything near what Ivana does. I find the technique to be incredibly effective in my work and also in my life. It's not, we'll get into that later, but it's not just about acting, what Ivana does. Her mission is about empowerment through the arts. The scope is vast, and the impact that her technique and her work has had on so many people's lives it's beyond. So I want to just start by asking you, also just to backtrack, we met working on Funny People. That was the first movie that we did together. And I was so excited to work with Ivana because I heard that she worked with Gary Shanley on the Larry Sanders Show, which I was obsessed with, and I was told that she was very, very good at working with comedians. And at that time, I think Judd Apatow didn't think I knew how to act, or I don't know. And so he set me up with Ivana, and then that was kind of that. And now it's 20 years later, and here we are. So Ivana, can I ask you?
Yes.
Why did you write the book?
This is the new updated revised version of the book.
Yes, sorry, I should have mentioned.
No, that's okay. I'm here for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, I got you. You got me.
Okay. But the 12 steps are the 12 steps. They work, and I know that because it's been 20 years of it working, with helping people get really incredible jobs, great reviews, and this is for people all over the world. Because the changes that have happened because of 20 years of working with people, not only in the United States, but this is the most important thing that I figured out because what I based this technique on is based on what I studied in school, which is behavioral science, the science of psychology, and the science of cultural anthropology, which is the history of why culture is culture. And it's when we're trying to duplicate real human behavior, we're trying to duplicate it from a real place, a scientific place. And then I found that so many people were doing techniques that I, as an actor, when I first came to LA, I couldn't relate to because I kind of have a science head. I was one of those like math nerds back in the day, the Band-Aids on my glasses and stuff like that, and I could do math really good. So I understood math. I didn't understand some of the like trust exercises or any, you guys have been in those kind of classes where you do thought bubbles or you become an animal. I remember a stand-up comic said, I love working with you because I don't have to be a llama with a yeast infection. And this,
You've never made me be an animal before?
not.
Okay. I just had a memory.
That's your own time.
Never
It's
mind.
on your own time.
All right, never mind. Forget it.
Living on a private time. Too much?
No. Don't stop it. Sorry to interrupt.
Anyway, so the thing is, in 20 years, I've come to find out that a lot of the stuff that I learned in school was that people are people are people are people are people, and they have the same needs, the same insecurities, the same traumas, the same fears. And that became new ideas of how to apply the 12 steps more accurately and authentically because it was scientifically based information I was gathering from doing workshop to workshop, place to place to place that I would go to. And sometimes I was just trying to solve a problem. Like there's exercises in there where I had to work with somebody in class. There was two hitmen, a female and a male hit person, and they were supposed to fall in love with each other. But my problem was I got the love story, but I never believed they could kill anybody. So on the fly, I came up with an exercise. It's in the book called the Entrails exercise. And it immediately, within 5 seconds, you could even do it on the fly. You actually are triggering that part of you that is capable of killing, which is in every human being, and it's all based in science. There's so many new things in the book based on my experiences of trying to solve problems to make for a better performance, but also for better writing and for better acting, for directing, because a director, writer, actor, we're all trying to tell the same story, but we need to know what that same story is. And so this book was written with that in mind. But what's really important, I just want to make sure that everybody understands who has not read the first book, is that this was also a technique based in not sitting in your pain, but rather taking that pain that normally causes self-destruction and defeat and turning it as a most powerful fuel to overcome and win whatever your character's objective is. It just takes some water.
Yes, I will say that is what I love about the technique. It's proactive. It's about winning. It's about having an objective. It's about doing something to get through something. And for me, in my life, I feel like it has been so useful for me to, like you said, use your pain, your trauma, things that have really happened to you and work through them with art, with acting, and with the work. I don't think anybody else does anything like that.
And that's where I feel lucky to have found a solution ultimately for my own life, because I come from a mother who's mentally ill, who was a violent person, violent physically and emotionally. And little kids don't understand that behavior. And I went to some pretty dark places as a result of that. And I needed to find a way in order to survive all the thoughts, those awful rabbit hole thoughts that I was having, to be a person who's going to use my pain to learn, to grow, to be a better, more evolved person, to have some version of resolution, and ultimately to find catharsis, which is what the basis of this technique is. So we're not just randomly bringing up awful stuff, we're doing something profound with it. We're doing something that not only is it that we're trying to do this for the character, because first we break down the character, and we personalize it, but it bleeds into your own life. And your choices also are really important because, and we'll talk a little bit about this in a second, in terms of our conversations together, but it's like, if you make choices that are, because remember, people have the same primal issues that they have. So if someone who's an audience member is watching somebody, the character, have the same stuff that they have, that they have shame from it, they are being defeated by it, they're being brought down to these really dark, horrible places, and they see on the screen or stage, because for all those places, all the venues, is that when they see that, that person's doing something about it, they're attempting to overcome it and be a winner with this, to win in spite of it because of the things that have happened to them. Maybe so can I. And it gives people hope by just watching and subliminally taking that in and making them feel good to watch whatever you're doing. And one of the things that when I first met Aubrey was like, I do this thing when I meet people to see if they're the real deal. And I asked them, well, I don't know, you weren't Aubrey Plaza yet. You were Aubrey Plaza before. So anyway, so I did this thing where I told her to do something really absurd, like in terms of digging deep into some kind of territory. And she said, not sure I feel that way, but let me just try it, see if it works. So without being defensive, which is really a big deal in my work, the defensiveness tells me that you're not really an artist. You're somebody that doesn't. Artists are explorers. Artists are people who are curious. And the thing is, she said she didn't know, but she tried it, and it was actually really quite wonderful. And so, because we always have to play around. And the thing is about bravery. You have to be brave to tackle and really push the envelope. Artists don't color within the lines. They don't follow rules. What they do is they just try, they push the envelope. They do things and find new ways that they to think and to explore whatever the character or the story is about. And she was always making brave choices with everything, and it inspired me to be braver, because I constantly, to be brave is a work in progress. It always takes a lot of work. And a lot of people think you're just born brave, they're not. You have to work up really hard to take the information of your fear, because to be fearless, you have to understand your fear. And that's where we go in to break down the characters from their fear place, and they're saying, I refuse to allow that to make my life's choices. So I am going to, through this character, through my work, through my acting or writing or directing, I am going to try to explore change and growth. And let's talk about some of the things like Legion.
Oh, Legion, yes. Yes, well, I remember I brought Legion to you, and originally, and I will say this throughout my career, I've had so many moments with Ivana where Ivana has read a script that I, was thinking about doing, and I'll say, what about this one, or what do you think about this? Because I'm lucky enough to have that relationship with you now where I can lean on you in that way too, and not just, break down the scripts, but Ivana has had so many ideas for so many scripts and so many things that I've done that I've brought to the director, and they'll go like, yeah, that's actually, we love that, and we'll change it. And with Legion, I remember it was written for a man. I read that script, and I thought I was reading it for a different part. And then Noah Hawley said, "What about Lenny Busker, the middle-aged male drug addict in the mental institution?" And I said, "Well, I didn't think about it like that, but sounds good to me." But I brought it to you, and Ivana said to me something that was so key with that entire project, which is she said she read it, and I said, "What do you think about me playing this character, Lenny Busker, if they change it to a woman?" And Ivana said, "That's a great idea, but tell them to not change anything about the dialogue or anything about the script. Don't try to change it, because she's a woman now." And I went back to Noah Hawley and I said, "I'll do it, but don't change it." And that was really your idea, and I think that's what really, I think, was so, at least in the beginning of that process, so important, because it was just a really outside of the box kind of approach to it, but it really worked, I think, and it was really, what came out of that was really interesting. I thought, but thank you. Yeah, she likes leaving. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, calm down. Okay.
They're into gum.
They like Lenny Busker.
They like Lenny, yeah.
Very well. Okay, but the other thing about that is like it was a really obnoxious guy speaking against women kind of thing. How would you like to pick them up? But we decided we're not going to make this a gay character. We're making this someone who doesn't have a predilection. Just this human being likes to be obnoxious and get reactions. Some people just are obnoxious because they don't get attention any other way. So it became humanized by someone who's fearful to be able to be vulnerable. And so this becomes a cover of a character that is humanized by, because everybody here has had a moment where they became somebody else to be able to be liked by somebody. Everybody here has done it. So what we did was we took it all the way because the character was so extreme that it became so likable, because we made inner choices that made that she had to be this person, and because otherwise nobody would notice her. She'd be an invisible girl person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about a lot. It's all about choices, I think, and I think a lot about some of the choices that we've made together. One that comes to mind is Dirty Grandpa, which I think people wouldn't think, oh, you did the 12-step Chubbuck technique for Dirty Grandpa. But in fact, I did. And it elevated that movie, I think, and the kind of relationship that I had with De Niro, who I was really nervous to work with, and really excited to work with. But I remember when we worked on that together, that was also like a very unexpected experience, because on the page it's this really broad comedy, and my character's got really nothing going on other than she wants to have sex with an old man. That's it. There was nothing else going on. But
Reactions here, guys. So, just saying.
But Ivana was like, this is a love story.
We made it a profound
yes,
love story.
Love
A younger
story.
girl, not a bimbo anymore, but a girl who had father issues.
Yes, daddy issues, grandpa issues. But and also we made her smart. And I remember I loved our discussions about that script, because I remember we talked about how, women can be you know, slutty and smart. It's great combination. You don't have to be like, and also, but more about, you know, just the connection, the chemistry that we built in the movie was actually it worked so well that in the initial script, I can't remember his name. De Niro's character, Dirty Grandpa. He's like supposed to. I think he was supposed to die in the original script, but our chemistry was working so well, and because of the choices that we made. I remember we talked about like he is my Hemingway, or he is my, was it Hemingway or
he's your muse.
or is it, yeah, like and I really brought that every day. Like I really went for it.
And high respect
Yeah. And he was he was liking it, and then they wrote they wrote an additional scene where we have a baby, and then they were going to write a sequel to that, and it really was. We never ended up doing it. I don't know why. I would have done it, but yeah, I just think
what's more important is that it was a small role.
Yes.
It was a small role, and it became an integral role. I think they ended the movie on the new scene, didn't they?
Yeah, they ended the movie on the new scene where De Niro and I have a baby. I'm Zac Efron's grandma. But all because I was like, he's my soulmate.
But in the book, there's in the other book there was a chemistry exercise, but it's changed and developed much more. So there's a whole new section on how to create chemistry with anyone. And chemistry is really important in creating successful projects. We don't just watch to see plot. We rarely, in fact, do. We watch to see connections, relationships, because that's a unique. Plots, let's say procedurals. And all procedures around the world have the same underlying plots. But what they don't have the same is every human being is different in the planet. So you put two very different people together, and then their relationship and how they connect together is going to be very, very unique. So the relationships and the heart always has to be in jeopardy. So creating chemistry with somebody, it's a really easy exercise in the book of how to do that. And you can create also chemistry with your director, with your actors, so it creates a strong energy on the screen that there's a familial love story going on between you and your actors. You do the chemistry exercise with the gaffer, which is the lighting guy, so they light you lovingly. True.
I've never done that. I'm absolutely gonna do that.
It's like, and it's also just good, you could use that chemistry exercise in life. I have a story of somebody who used the chemistry exercise on a subway just to see if it worked without with another actor. And the person was reading the newspaper, and he did the exercise, and it literally takes maybe 4 seconds to do. And if you do it in the back of someone's head, if you do it across a crowded room, that person doesn't have to know you're doing it at all. And the person put down their paper and started telling this person, my actor, their life story. And then his stop came up a couple of stops later. He said, "That's so weird. I've never talked about my life to a stranger before, ever. And nice to meet you." And then you're on their way. But it was like this connections. I've had people get free drinks out of it. But the chemistry exercise was really, really good to put strong energy on the stage, with not only with the people that you're with, but with the people that are watching you, because they feel the energy of chemistry, which is extremely strong energy. So that there's just so many practical exercises in the book that will help you find like organic fear, where your heart beats faster, where your skin becomes pale, your pupils contract, and it works. How to feel when somebody is playing a killer, finding the mindset of a killer, the exercise to really feel what it feels like to need to do that. Addictions, in the old book, there was 5 addictions we explored. I explored 25. So what it is that the addict believes that their addiction is going to solve for them. These addictions come from someone trying to solve something. Life is all about that. That's why the system works, the 12-step system works, because it's about trying to solve things, as opposed to just feeling depressed about something. Look, I always say, if you want to, be around somebody who's always truthfully and honestly depressed all the time, because they're truly and honestly in pain about something that's going on in their life. We generally don't want to be around them. We're not going to pay money to see them. So we want to see people being in a bad place and saying, I am not going to let that be. I'm going to do something to change that. Whether you win or not, getting what you want, the fact that you're trying to win makes you a winner. That becomes a really important aspect.
Yes!
Right?
Yes.
The thing is, think about like Rocky. Rocky, the very first one, is he tries so hard to win, but he doesn't win the bout at the end. And everybody remembers him having won that bout. He did not. And interestingly enough, I started working with Stallone on Creed, and because Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, and 100, they were all like, he won the bout. So when we talked about Creed, he said he's got to lose it. His person has to lose for us to really root for him. And so that's what happened, and it became a huge success. But then the mistake was the second and third one, he won. So it's the need to win. It's the thing of how hard we work to win. So that the whole thing about the creates an arc and the acting, it's like that, like what happened with Emily the Criminal. Emily the Criminal was like she had to win, overcome her. You go for it. Talk about her experience.
What? I know. No,
But we're talking about like she can't get a job. She can't. She can't. She has huge student loans. There's no way to pay them. Nobody understands her position, and so she's forced to do something.
Yes. Yes. To get her power back.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And the way it was originally written, though, it was at the end. He had you, him and the guy that was teaching you how to do this way of making money. Both of you were together in Mexico doing this. And so it's like, the idea is we also have to put a mission statement, because we're not just acting for the sake of it. It's our jobs as artists to make statements that help people change their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for me, that's what is so different about your technique than any other, other one that I've come across. Is it's about transcending the material and pushing through and actually changing your life, working through something, using the work to actually change something in your actual life, which really works for me too. I teach. I have so much trauma in my life, so many things that have happened. And the thing is that it helps me, when I help you, it helps me, and I'm figuring out stuff together. Yeah. I think I was gonna say, Ingrid Goes West was a script that I found that you're all over that movie, the ideas that you brought to the table and that we worked on together. And I remember, that's just one example of taking a character that maybe on the page, you read that script and you go, I don't know, she's crazy. We don't know why, or and you could take that at face value and just play the character like that, but that's not what we did. And I think what we did together really, really helped, I think, helped elevate the movie because we were interested in why. Why is she behaving like this?
Very important, the why. Keep going.
Yeah, why is she doing this? And one major change to that film that was your idea when you saw an early cut of the movie, and something that we had talked about in the room was that Ingrid should have no support system. And in the original script, there was actually a sister character that we actually shot with an actress, and we shot those scenes, and then we ended up taking them out of the movie completely because of the discussions that we had together, because we decided that she couldn't have a support system. We actually needed, for the story's sake, we needed to feel that she was completely alone and didn't have a backup plan or a net to fall into. And it was a brilliant, brilliant choice, because you're just rooting for her that much harder because she can't just run back to her sister. She's got no family and nobody. And so it helped
Also the mother dying and that being there in the mother's
Yes.
space. And then get her mother, she just lost her mother, to become that female kind of stalker on social media. She had to, I have to be alone.
Yeah.
So she had to be alone. Yeah, and the thing is with the mother being just passed away, it's just like she was sitting in this hovel of a home and only has memories of somebody who could never, ever create new memories ever again.
Yeah, and that was really, that was about story. There were no additional scenes written with any additional dialogue about the mother passing or anything, but it was a visual. We saw the empty hospital bed in the room, and it kind of signals to the audience that, you tell a whole story with one visual, and that was an idea that we had come up with together.
And here's the thing, anybody here who counts lines, stop doing it. You do more with visuals, with behavior. And that's because we take in more information when someone has the ability to exist within an environment without words. Sidney Lumet, a very important director, who is considered one of the best film directors ever, used to say that dialogue stops action. And it does. Because when we think, we can think 5 different things. And when you're speaking, it's unilateral. And so there's so much we got out of looking at stuff and seeing the hospital bed and seeing photographs of her and her mother. And the stuff that we created in that, to be able that she has no place to be, to sit in that place that's only filled with memories. It's just going to be too hard for this person. So the only way she feels that she could ever be loved, and this is the word mental illness. And one of the things I always tell my actors, we have to discover, why does that particular mental illness happen? Why is so important?
Yeah.
And that's the discovery of that. And so she has to be somebody else to be loved. So she has to pick somebody that's already loved by a manufactured way of social media.
Yeah. I think it's about time to ask you some of the questions that we've gotten from our audience. Prepared
And use their names too.
What?
Use their names. Their names are done.
Oh. Yes.
That was so you know that was your question.
Okay. Good. I wouldn't have seen them. Okay, so we have a question from Destiny. What inspired you?
Now, I love this question because I literally became, what I do is about empowering people through art to allow people to really feel like through the art system that you can actually change your trajectory of life. And my father is a Holocaust survivor. And he was 11 when it was happening, when they had to flee Germany to come to the States. And he was too little to do anything about it, but he wanted to. So as an adult, what you can do is you do the things that you wanted to do as a child. And he became a civil rights lawyer, a lawyer for the National Labor Relations Board, and talking with unions and things like that, which helping the oppressed people. And he was doing it through law. And he died many years ago, and I worshipped him and put him on a major pedestal and said someone needs to continue his work. He did it with the law, I do it with art. And so that's to you, Dad, because I think you made me the person that I am, Trevor. You made me the person that I am today because you were so amazing. And anyway.
Question from Emma. What grounds you in your work? What brings you out of the dark place of exhaustion, self-doubt, comparison, etc.? What keeps you going?
Well, it's not about keeping going. It's about understanding that all those fears and doubts are your friend. Because you don't want to see perfect people on the screen or on stage. They're off-putting. Because we go like, that person is not there. That person has everything together, right? So those things that she described, and there's so many other, flaws are what make you unique. It's what makes you special. And it also makes you highly relatable. We want to be able to watch something that makes us feel that my story is being told up there. And that person is me. The basis of people falling in love is they say, I found a female version of me, or I found a male version of me. That's someone who really, really gets me in a way that nobody else gets me. Well, that's why those things are not only something you're trying to not get rid of, you need to embrace them, because that's going to make your performance special, but also by embracing them, makes them feel like it's something that's gold, not something that you're trying to shy away from. So you want to hold it, not go like that with it. And it also puts a twinkle to your performance. It's a twinkle to your writing, it's a twinkle to your directing, which makes us feel there's a special little secret that you have that you're sharing with your audience. It's cool.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like for me, the most satisfied with doing a character or doing a part when I feel like the feedback is from the audience feeling like they feel seen by the character.
That's super important.
And I feel like for me, like, I love movies and I love acting, and but I think if I really dig deep down under why am I doing any of this, it is almost about human connection and about expressing something that could maybe help somebody, or maybe they would feel,
not so all alone.
Not so alone, exactly, and feel hope. It is really about hope, I think, at the end of the day. Question from Anastasia. What is the most overlooked part of the acting technique that you find to be crucial for better acting?
People forget you're telling a story. They go straight to their emotions, and watching people emote is boring. It's also depressing. We want to watch people tell a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. The actor, the writer, the director tell the same story from different venues, but they're telling the same story, so you have to know what the story is. How do we make an arc to that story? And that's where the first 3 steps come in. Overall objective, which is the overall need of the mission statement of the script. Then the second one is the scene objective, that is what you want from the other person to be able to get something from them that will support the overall objective. And then step 3, which is the obstacles which create the drama, was what's getting in your way of making, of accomplishing that objective. That creates the roller coaster ride of like, I'm trying to win this, I'm trying to overcome this, and then didn't, it failed, so I'm gonna try harder the next time, and then you fail, and then you try harder the next time. It becomes a story. The first three steps are super important. Telling the story, and people forget that. They go straight to their emotions, and emotions stand still. They drip to the floor. We want to see movement and being proactive, so we're rooting for a journey. There's proof of this. I was going to talk about the science of mankind, but there's proof that early man, before he became upright, Neanderthal man, there's proof of archaeologists that they actually played games of sport. So that's millions of years old, the primal need to win something. And the theater started 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece. But if you do the math here, we want to connect to people from a most primal way that we really feel that kind of rooting for people to win whatever they want to win, and being totally invested in the story. Storytelling is always something that people forget. That's what we're doing this for.
Okay. Question from Skylar. Best advice for actors who love to write and direct as well? How do we get to all those goals?
Because we live in a different world, we live in such a technological world, and the venues used to be 3 channels, and then we got 5 channels, and then we started doing a little bit with, cable, and then all of a sudden it just started going like, there's so many options you guys have. So the old way of doing things, you got an agent, got your pictures, taking pictures and that kind of stuff, and you waited for the phone to ring. But the point is just there's too many places that need material. People that are doing well are the ones that are writing and producing and directing and starring in their own stuff. But Baby Reindeer is like a great example to me of like all those people that were part of making that happen. That's that guy's personal life. That's, first of all, talk about bravery. There's a lot of bravery in that show. It's a big hit, winning a bunch of awards, and the 2 main characters are like, they don't stop working. And they're just, because that's how you just write, do it, because they're looking for stuff out there. And YouTube is a great way to, like if you want to write a feature, do a sizzle and put it on YouTube. So see if you get any traction on it. It's just so, take advantage of, we live in a world that you can do that. Because it's harder to get work if you don't. You've got to, it's again about being proactive. Proactively go after your career. Don't just like wait for the phone to ring. It's like getting a partner in your life and sitting in your house going, I'm so lonely. Well, nobody's gonna knock on your door and say, I think that you may be the right person for me for the rest of my life. It's like, it doesn't happen. I wish it did, but it doesn't happen that way. So you have to make it happen. You have to be a proactive person. And you're gonna get a lot of no's, but all you need is one yes.
That's right. Bilal asks, your legacy will be generational because of the impact your teachings have on all of your students. What are some words you have for those who will be studying your teachings hundreds of years from now?
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Hundreds of years, they're going to still be thinking about me. I think it's important that people understand the artist's journey. It's not just about acting. It's about the artist's journey. And I want people to get there's an obligation from the artistic world, because the artistic world has no political ideology. It doesn't have a religious, foundation where you have to pick a religion. It doesn't have geographical boundaries. It's like one big planet. The artists are our own animals. And it's our obligation to be able to change the world through the best pulpit of all. And in the case of, say, the film and movie business, there's more people that could be very, very poor, but they all own a television set. We have a obligation to make choices in our work that allow people to get hope because they're watching their own circumstances and they are seeing people doing something about it. And that gives people hope, and I think that's our job, it's our obligation to give people hope through the choices we make. I always say, pain equals prosperity if you choose to make it so. Whether it's spiritual, emotional, or action. And I thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there could be a better ending than that. Thank you all.
That's it. That's all we're at.
Thank you guys so much. Ivana, Aubrey, thank you guys so much. Another round of applause for these two.
Aubrey, I love you so much. And I think I wouldn't want anybody else to do this but you. And you are like family to me. So it's like, thank you for doing this and for all these wonderful people. And I hope that you were able to get something from this. But just so you know that this was a very important event for me because of you.